Hey everybody, good afternoon. I just wanted to share yet another excerpt from my newly released book, Pregnant with a Promise. Get ready to push. And I just want to share from the chapter titled Naming Your Baby. Got to put on my glasses. You know how that goes. I've got a couple things I want to share about that, but I'll wait until after. Here's what I share, just a little bit. When God gives us a promise, a baby, we must seek Him for a name. If we're not careful, other people will try to name our promise for us. People will try to name it based on tradition, their perception of what God is doing, or even their desire to place limits on our promise. People can knowingly or unknowingly, inappropriately name your promise because they didn't plant it in you and therefore have no idea of its full potential. So what I do is I talk about Elizabeth and Zachariah. Remember them? Where God had to mute Zachariah until their baby, John the Baptist, was born because his words were contradicting the promise of God. So I say the name that they wanted to give John was not inspired by God. It was inspired by routine and tradition. Nevertheless, there are times when God will step in and overrule tradition and routine because He's about to do a new thing. Somebody say a new thing. What they wanted to name him would limit John. His daddy was a priest, but God was about to raise up a mighty prophet who was radical, powerful, and a little bit weird. And he was, or we'll say unique. But what I'm saying is, we have to be careful to call our promise, our baby, what God calls it. These people, they that wanted to name John the Baptist, they were not there with Elizabeth during the process. They showed up after the fact at the ceremony and they wanted to name the baby, and they wanted to name the baby according to tradition. And can I tell you something? Tradition is not always a bad thing, but those of us who are even in churches today, we can see how tradition can stifle. We see how tradition can cause a church to be stagnant, inflexible. So I just want to encourage you, beloved, be careful of looking to other people to name your promise, to name your baby. If you go to anybody other than God, they're going to place limitations on it. You understand what I'm saying? You have to be careful that you're not placing limitations on your promise, because I got news for you, baby. What God is trying to do through you has never been done before. What He's trying to do through you, He's about to break the mold. He's about to bust tradition wide open. So get in agreement with what God is doing, so you don't have to be muted like Zachariah, but he was muted for his protection, for John's protection. But God will not have to mute you if you will say what God say about your promise. Get the book. It's available on my website, AnnMariaBenton.com, or you can click the link in this message. But I just want to encourage you, beloved, whatever it is that God has placed in you to release, to birth, I want to be your spiritual midwife, and I want to help you get into position to get ready to push. Have a blessed day, and please share.